Hey,
All right, what's good? Great people. What's poppin'? What y'all out there in the world, man? This your boy Hood, man. Welcome to the Hoodfilms channel. I appreciate y'all coming to check me out. What's good? Like, subscribe, share my page, share this channel because we doing big things over here. We official, we entrepreneurs, self-made, doing it our own way. And we've been branding out here for like 24 years, and I'm grateful for all y'all support. So basically, I want to holler at y'all about my homie, not my damn homie, but I did film him one time in Chicago in like 2008 at the Brickyard. It's a mall in the city. I had to follow him around Stephen A. Smith one time for a shoot. But I didn't know him personally. I just had to follow him around for a shoot at some kind of, I think it was a shoe event or some kind of event. He was up on the stage talking, and Scottie Pippen showed up and shit, all kind of shit like that. So I don't even remember what it was. It was Facebook was big at that time. So somebody on Facebook connected with me, and I shot a video of Stephen A. Smith. So I hung out with him for about a good 2 hours, some shit like that, maybe even less time. But at the end of the day, the notion and the conversation is that he's up at 60 million a year coming from ESPN. So the first they were saying he only was making like 5 million a year, but it has been announced that he's making 12 million a year. So it's, I guess he's making like 7 million. No, I think they said he's making 5 million a year, and then he's making like, it's 12 million a year. It's 12 million a year. So 12 times 5 is 60. So the thing is that I guess he's making between 5 and 7 a year, but they also are giving him what's called a production deal. So his production company, Stephen A. Smith Productions, whatever the fuck he call it, that also gets a deal or money from ESPN or Disney, which is the mother company of the ESPN. So it's almost like his productions company is just like, okay, so what does it take you to get ready to be this person who we have on our show? What is it, the suits? Do you have to live in a certain area? Do you have to fucking eat a certain food, marry a certain girl? Whatever the fuck it is for you to continue to be who we utilize on our station, we're going to give you a production deal so that that continues. Maybe you call it Stephen A. Smith LLC, whatever the fuck he call his company, because I don't know personally what he call it, but that company is also getting money. And then him being a personality, he's getting money. I think I just hit my microphone. Yo, but other than that, that's what's going on. So it's like a really big thing people have been talking about in the news, in the streets or whatever, that Stephen A. Smith, it's kind of like it's been revealed, and people have been going crazy about how much money he's making because it's been a conversation that's been talking old Kwame Brown, which is a ex-basketball player. They all came after him a few months ago. Well, maybe about a month ago, talking about him being a bust in the NBA. When he was in the NBA, he was like a high school player or whatever, and he went straight to the NBA, but he started working with Michael Jordan. So they were saying he was a bust because he wasn't able to live up to Michael Jordan, whatever. And so when they drove reckless at dude, he responded. And when he responded, it blew him up. And so the internet, everybody been fucking with Kwame Brown in recent days. So he fucked around and got kind of locked in, and he was been making all this money. So everybody been talking all this shit about it. So I just wanted to talk my shit about it. And it's, in a lot of ways, I'm happy for the nigga because at least he is getting money. He got a wife now and shit, his family on. But the shitty part about him particularly, and I've seen this myself, is that he come real hard at the black players. He's a hater. He's basically a person that's a hater. And in a lot of ways, I look at it like Stephen A. Smith is not actually African American. So he is a person that's from another culture. Like he's like Trinidadian or some shit like that. So they're gonna have slightly different feeling than somebody that's a foundational black motherfucker that was here since slavery. Your grandparents are traced back to somewhere down south, like it's a slave thing. So, and especially a lot of times Hollywood or white America, they elevate people that's immigrant or from immigrant families for whatever reason. I don't know. The nigga that played in Get Out was African or Londonian, from Europe. They really be from Europe, but they come from African descent. So, and the same thing like us. We be from Europe. We be from African descent, but we come from America. So we're all American, or I'm from Chicago. But when you over there, it's like I'm from London, I'm from England, I'm from here, da 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 da. Different little countries inside England, so or wherever Europe. So somebody like Stephen A. They came from an island, which was where they took the slaves. You know what I'm saying? Dropped certain people off on certain islands, and that's exactly where he's from. So they're not from America. You know what I mean? Now they came to America within the last 50, 60 years. You know what I'm saying? And they've been here. So you can say they are American, but they're not here for the last 300-400 years, like a lot of black motherfuckers like me, who our family have always been here. So white people tend to elevate those kind of people. The guy who played Martin Luther King was was an African from Europe or some shit like that. The lady who played Harriet Tubman or whatever the fuck that movie was. I think it was Harriet Tubman. She was from Africa. I mean, from Europe with African descent. So that's just what Hollywood is doing now. That, you know, it's just, if some people pay attention to it because we are filmmakers and artists, but some people don't give a fuck. It's just a damn actor. Who gives a shit? So I mentioned all that to say somebody like Stephen A. Smith, he's getting paid because his job is to diss foundational black men, us, the people from America, black people who work for white folks as NBA players, NFL players, but when they go through discretions in their life or infractions or deal with some kind of whatever they're dealing with, or even trying to make a contract deal, his job is to highlight that shit. He's almost like a shock jock, but for the athletes. And so some people have went down the history of his career and said, okay, well, when you was working with the white motherfucker, let's do white ass name, Skip Bayless. You was working with Skip Bayless, and you fucked around and had your little success. But then after you disconnected with Skip Bayless, they say he went and started doing some work on Fox News for a minute, which we all know what the fuck is going on at Fox. And you know who was supporting Fox and who Fox was hating on, you know what I'm saying, or as a president, I'm saying. But when somebody like Fox has got your back, paying your check, you got to follow a certain practicality. So when he left Fox and got back to the NFL, got back to ESPN, he kind of like been this motherfucker that really ridiculed black. So for instance, he started talking about black people going crazy. Like, say a motherfucker get caught up smoking weed. Now, we all know weed is legal in a lot of states, but these motherfuckers, NBA players, ex-NFL players, they get caught with pounds of weed or whatever the fuck their personal life is dealing with. Or it might affect them because they don't pass some drug test, and then he might highlight that shit and talk about it for a long time. Weed, and make some kind of funny joke about it on his show, Stephen A. Smith do. But by acting like that, you know, people out there said, damn, nigga, why you clowning this black guy? He trying to secure a contract, or he trying to get his life together. Like, why are you doing this? But that's his job. He's like a shock jock. So he'll talk really wild about you. But they've proven by video effect, it's a guy on the internet named Self Talk. And by watching those videos that he's done, you can see that when the tables turn and it's a white person that's dealing with the same situation, Stephen A. Smith don't diss that person like that. He keep it low key. He just maybe mention it or maybe glance over it. So people tripping. Like, what the fuck, man? You with niggas or you with the white people? So obviously, white people paying them. Because in recent days, he had a video who came out, Stephen A. Smith did. He had a video that came out. He said, when I wake up in the morning, I think of two things. I don't know why he did this video, but it went viral. He said, how do I make my boss more money? And the second thing is, how do I get some of it myself? So the video went viral because everybody black and shit was like, man, you Uncle Tom. What kind of dumbass nigga would say some shit like that? You a fucking Uncle Tom, man. This nigga's an Uncle Tom, man. So they said that about him and shit, you know. So, but I think if you're getting, what, 12 million a year, however they divvying this shit up, times 5, that's 60 million in 5 years, you probably gonna have more allegiance to your white zaddy, as they call it, when you work for white folks and you diss black people because you work for white folks. So a lot of people work for white folks. That's what America is. But if you work for white people and the job that you consider yourself working, whatever the title is, you feel like it's time for you to diss people in your family, or you feel like it's time to diss people that you see, just because you work for white people. I mean, that's what it is. Ultimately, you get to maybe buy stuff with the money. You can probably jump out of a hot air balloon, fucking travel to different countries. But the fact that Caucasians are paying you, ultimately, now all of a sudden you're better than somebody black. So old boy Kwame calls that white zaddy syndrome. So my wife always say, why the fuck he say white zaddy? So the initial definition of white zaddy was because a woman that's a black woman or would want a white man and consider him attractive. So for instance, if I'm sitting in the house with my wife and George Clooney come on the screen and she say, "Ooh, he fine," or Brad Pitt pop up on the screen, and then she's like, "Oh my God, he looks so good. He should be my man." And you sitting back like, okay, wait a minute. You're a black woman and you think a Caucasian man that's fucking bald or will be bald soon is fucking handsome and he middle aged like a motherfucker. Like I'm really perplexed by this. She'll kick back at me, "Nigga, you think Christy Brinkley fine? Some bitch from my era, a white lady." Or, but I'm like, okay, yeah, damn. All right. All right, okay, you got me. But it seems weird when you hear your woman's attracted to some white man. So that's the white zaddy. Like, oh, he could take care of me if I had a white man. This is just some kind of thing that's popping out in the world. It's funny. I heard about the word, so that's the definition of it. But oh boy, Kwame Brown, the basketball player who all the commentators had hated on a couple of weeks back, but he came back with a vengeance on the internet talking shit about them. Stephen A. Smith, Charlamagne the God, what's the old boy named Steven Jackson, the other basketball player, I forgot his name. He was with the Lakers and shit, but he called his ass Becky with the good hair. I forgot it, but they all on that same podcast together. Him and they all dissed this guy, Kwame Brown. So that's why he came up with the White Zaddy, saying that, damn, y'all work for iHeartRadio with y'all All the Smoke podcast. That means white people are paying y'all. So you got a White Zaddy. So now all of a sudden I ain't shit. You dissing me. You gonna fuck over and diss my name and throw me under the bus. And for instance, iHeartRadio also owns Breakfast Club, which is where Charlamagne the God was working at. He dissed old boy Kwame Brown. And then Boyce Watkins ultimately was found out that an Asian person had put all the package together of what he was selling, which is like this stock market class or whatever he was selling. And it was like, wait a minute, all y'all got white zaddies. And that's what old boy changed it from white zaddy from a female liking a white man to a black man who works for a white person but believes the job he currently works makes him better than other blacks. So I can diss you. Like this guy, Steven Jackson, he was a person who was acting like George Floyd, who passed away from the white cop, was his brother. So he was all over the news and media. So now they on a podcast with another basketball player. I keep forgetting his name. But they're on a podcast together, so they all kick all the smoke. So when they got to dissing this Kwame Brown basketball player, I had never heard of the person before that. I'm from the streets. So I watched Jordan, I'm from Chicago, hoop and dunk on motherfuckers and shit, but I'm 19 at that time. So after he left Chicago, I fucking literally knew nothing about the nigga no more. So I obviously he went to Washington, D.C., and they hired this kid to be well, I guess he was 18 at the time, so he would have been the next phenom. But the way they treated this kid demolished him as a person. They disrespected him, they hazed him, they tried to do foul shit towards him. So he became just a normal player versus this person they thought was going to be the next LeBron because they was dissing him. You know how it is if you shit on a dog or just slap the hell out of somebody and beat them down, they're going to kind of be less than they used to be because you beat them down. It's just a fact. But if you let them thrive and be themselves, they'll be that thing that they were meant to be. But that guy didn't do that on a basketball court. So he has his reasons for why. And you can watch his show and figure out what the fuck he's talking about, believe it or not. But that was his life he experienced. And in his life, he feel like successful as fuck. I made over $60 million in the fucking NBA. I bought my mama a house on a golf course. I'm rich as fuck. And y'all still talking about me 20 years or 15 years after I left the NBA. So he's getting his respect, you know what I'm saying, from the internet and the people that's just like fan base. But he's been talking mad shit about the people like the Stephen A. Smiths of the world. So I think that's why the internet guys been out there studying and searching for Stephen A. Smith contracts, which they've been claiming that he makes $60 million a year. But he gets it off the back of dissing black people. Like his whole career is to diss black men. So at one point, Stephen A. Smith was getting called Uncle Tom. He was like, yo, Uncle Tom ass nigga, man. This bitch ass nigga, you're a fucking Uncle Tom. And so he got on his show, which is First Take, and he said, I am not apologizing to black people. I don't give a damn what you think about me. I'm an Uncle Tom. I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm not a fucking Uncle Tom. Fuck you, and I'm not apologizing. So then fast forward from that point, this guy, Ray Rice, had slapped his baby mother inside an elevator or whatever, his girlfriend, and it was news. The video camera, they hit the news. So Stephen A. Smith jumped on ESPN, which is his job, First Take, and he said, look, it's no reason for a man to hit a woman, but also it's no reason for a woman to provoke a man to hit her. And so Caucasian women came out and was like, what the fuck you just said? So they jumped on deck and they was like, Stephen A. Smith, you gotta apologize because you said this shit about women that they shouldn't provoke men, but in America, men shouldn't hit women, no matter even if they are provoked. So some white lady that's a ESPN chick, she actually is the one who got on the fucking nation on the station and was like, "Yo, we want his ass to apologize." So the ESPN Caucasians was like, "Stephen A. Smith, you better fucking apologize." So he jumped his ass on the Caucasian station and was like, apologize. And then when TMZ interviewed Stephen A. Smith, he jumped on that motherfucker and apologized for saying that women should not be provoking men to hit them. So then ESPN suspended his ass for even saying it. They didn't suspend the white lady who actually went on the national TV and busted him out for saying that. Thought that it was uncomfortable for her to say for her to hear him saying that. He's a black man, so she didn't want a black man saying shit like that. So even though they worked at the same building, she busted him out, and he had to go up there and fucking apologize for that shit. And then, but he had just told black people prior to this, I ain't apologizing to nothing for black folks. So this is what you call Uncle Tom behavior. For what reason you feel like dissing black people and you don't have to apologize, but as soon as a white woman call you out, now you got to jump on TV and be apologetic as hell. You basically kind of see the allegiance that people have. And again, it's going to be hard to say, oh, you wrong. You shouldn't have allegiance like that. They ain't giving you nothing but $12 million a year. I mean, whoa, hold on. We have allegiances to our jobs and we ain't getting 12 million shit. You just work every damn day. But imagine getting 12 million a year and somebody say, hey, you, Robert Johnson, you're a fucking Uncle Tom. You gonna run back down and say, wait, hold up now. I'm not no Uncle Tom. Or you gonna just be like, oh, wow, well, that's what they said about me. Okay. Anyway, back to my life. So it's kind of like that with him. I think that his life is so where he wanted to be. And after working as long as he did, in his opinion, probably to get to where he got to, don't give a fuck if you like him or not. Don't give a fuck if you call him Uncle Tom. Don't give a fuck if you just not rocking with him. You just not rocking with him. So he just be like, all right, well, see you around. So that being that, I ain't gonna keep y'all no longer, man. We went really deep into this. I'm not trying to talk that damn long about no damn Stephen A. Smith, but I did. And if you got good ears, you heard every damn word. So I appreciate y'all stopping over here. Hoodfilms team was good. I appreciate you liking, subscribe, sharing all that stuff. And let's talk some stuff about the next subject. I appreciate y'all, man. Watch my new movie. It's right on this channel. It's called Killer Rapper. It's a dope movie. It's about an hour long. You're going to like it. And I got the director's cut on here, too. So check it out.
Hey.